Hey guys, it's Chris. From vehicles that will transport one to ones that'll transport many hundreds, join me as I show you 9 unusual flying vehicles that will change the world. Number 9. Jetpack. Without a doubt, one of the things that sci-fi movies and TV shows have shown us is what's possible in the future. And for decades now, the idea of having a jetpack or rocket pack or various other personal flight items has been infinitely intriguing and desirable for humanity as a whole. The concept is one that is simple in many ways. Mainly, you're able to put on a pack or item that with the flick of a switch, you can then fly through the skies without any issues. This would help with travel, stop traffic jams, and more. Believe it or not, this idea was also one that was desired by the military, so much that they spent countless millions of dollars in trying to get one made. And just as unbelievable to an extent, they succeeded. In fact, a person wearing a jetpack made a memorable appearance at the opening ceremonies in the 1984 Olympics. So that begs the question, why aren't we all wearing jetpacks or rocket packs right now? Quite simply, for the most part, and on the larger scale, jetpacks have been abandoned as a concept. Why? Well, numerous reasons that the military and more had to figure out over the years. First and foremost, they're not practical or cheap. Think about it like this. Imagine your car needed a very rare kind of fuel to work, one that wasn't within the ground but needed to be chemically made by factories. Do you think cars would be a major factor in transportation if that was the case? Most rocket packs use compounds that aren't easily available, and thus the price of fueling them for consistent travel would be difficult on a good day. Not to mention, when the government tried to make them, it was to have a new kind of reconnaissance unit. But the rocket and jetpacks they made were incredibly loud. Their propulsion engines would make sounds heard a very long way away, thus making stealth missions with the item completely impossible. Continuing on with the issues, there is the notion that was brought up by Mythbusters when they decided to try and make their own personal jetpack. Mainly, there's no backup. Because of the complexity of the item and the skill it would take to fly it, there's no backup system should something fail. Thus, if you were to have a mechanical malfunction in the air at a decent height, you'd probably die. Add to that the cost of making them, the fueling aspects, the noise, and training it would take to use them properly and more, and you can see why jetpacks are best left in fiction. That being said, should they be viable and should they be made safe, the notion of everyone flying to wherever they want to go on a jetpack is really enticing. It would indeed change the world of aviation. It's just unclear if we'll ever get to that point. Number 8. Jet Blimp. At one time, blimps were considered the future of air travel, but events like the Hindenburg proved that this was not the case. However, the future may indeed be with blimps, and one solar-powered one is being made right now. Varialift Airships is making the next generation of blimps that aren't just solar-powered, but built with jet engines. At present, their goal is to focus on cargo travel, ensuring large amounts of cargo get to their destinations at a good clip. Variable lift airships will ultimately secure a significant percentage, possibly the bulk of global air freight business, and a small but extremely valuable portion of existing road freight business, particularly for long-distance, bulky, or lightweight goods. It's stated by the company that they'll be able to make a trip from the UK to the US with just 8% of the emissions that a regular plane or jet has, thus making it more environmentally friendly as well. While these new kinds of blimps do sound like they're business-focused, it could eventually be turned into a personal commodity and could even fulfill the desire of having a blimp with a pool on top of it. The first completed model of this new blimp is set to arrive later this year. And now for number 7, but first be sure to subscribe to World List if you're new here and let me know what kinds of topics you'd like to see next. Number 7. Flying Armored Vehicle. In the field of combat, there are few things as scary as being pinned down by enemies with nowhere to go. In 2010, the field of play was the country of Afghanistan, and there, even the most stalwart of military vehicles like Humvees could find themselves pinned down on all sides with no way out. Thus, during that year, the Pentagon hired 2 companies to try and build a flying armored vehicle to help out soldiers who were pinned down. The basic concept was that it would look like a truck or Humvee, and then with the push of a button transform into a type of helicopter that can go and lift the soldiers up and out of the combat zone. This would be useful for many reasons, not the least of which was that because of the very nature of the vehicle, it would be both a defensive vehicle to take into combat but also an escape vehicle should things go wrong, and thus backup wouldn't be needed to supply an extraction. Video footage claims that they were able to make one work and made it do what they needed it to do. But obviously these vehicles weren't deployed for combat for one reason or another. But given that it's been another decade since and the threat of war is ever present, such a vehicle coming into the field of play should be a huge help for soldiers all over. Number 6. Future concept. According to reports, the United States Army is tasking people with coming up with very futuristic designs and concepts for aerial vehicles that can take them to the skies in ways that current modern concepts can't. You can imagine something like this being what they're looking for. The goal is relatively simple: to have a true future flyer that can do what ships nowadays can't, including going higher, going farther, and going faster than ever before, while also having some revolutionary concepts that make it even more special. Airbus MAVERICK, for example, is one of the futuristic planes that could be with us soon. Their website says that the game-changing bending wing body design could generate up to 20% fuel savings and significantly improve the passenger experience thanks to its exceptionally spacious cabin layout. Or the Flying V, a concept plane developed by KLM, where the passengers sit on the wings. Victor Uribe's A350H Airliner certainly wouldn't look out of place in a sci-fi film. Looking more like a living thing than a machine, this airplane was apparently inspired by the shape of a dolphin. Obviously, much of this is rumor and speculation. However, it's always been known that the military in all branches are working on top-secret projects, which led to things like the stealth bomber, railguns, and more. So the idea of them working on a top-secret flyer that'll truly change the game, that's not hard to picture at all, especially since the Air Force wants flying cars in the next 10 years. Do you think any of these things are going to be coming out soon? Would you want to try any of them? Which ones do you hope make the cut and get mass-produced? Let me know down in the comments below. Number 5. Uber Air. Uber, by and large, is one of the best advances in service in the past decade, as it's given jobs to people by just having them use their own cars to get people around at a moment's notice, and with the push of an app button. But they're always thinking towards the future, such as having self-driving cars take care of customers, and now Uber Air. In short, Uber is teaming up with the US military to make rotor-powered aerial vehicles that'll be able to be used in not just craft to fly people around for Uber rides, but also for the military. The goal isn't just to make a flying vehicle, as that's been done, but to make one that is simple, cheap, and most importantly, quiet. The vehicle, in the eyes of Uber, will be able to go 2,000 feet off the ground, fly at 150 miles per hour, and have a range of about 60 miles, all while being powered by not fuel but a battery. Should this work, it would be a revolutionary development for the company, and possibly the military depending on how it's used. The aim is to have something more concrete by the end of this year via prototype. Number 4. Porsche Boeing VTOL. VTOL stands for Vertical Takeoff and Landing Unit, and it's a general term for many kinds of flying vehicles that start off at ground level, rise into the air versus thrusting forward and then going up. Many have tried to make them, but in 2019, Porsche revealed that they were teaming up with Boeing to truly make a VTOL unit of their own. Just as important, it would be one that would have the feel of a sports car, but be totally electric. If you're waiting for the catch, here it is. Porsche has said that these vehicles would be very costly, and as such, would be only for the rich, as they're the only ones who would be able to afford them. The line of thinking may change in the future in a small way, but if it does lead to flying cars being used in cities in any measure, well, that's a big step forward. Number 3. HOVERSURF S3. Not all bikes need to operate on the ground. The team at HOVERSURF took this to heart when they decided to make a vehicle that would quite literally take them off the ground while still somewhat feeling and operating like a motorcycle. And thus they made the HOVERSURF S3. While it may look like something from a James Bond movie, it's a machine that does work and has been proven to work. The focus of it was not just to make a hover bike of sorts, but to use the technology that is out there right now to make this product a reality. To that end, it succeeded. It uses a mix of manual and automatic technology to make the blade spin, to guide the craft, and to lower it down, not unlike a regular motorcycle. The bike has gone through some updates since the original unveiling, including having a carbon fiber body to ensure strength and a light weight. It's installed multiple safety features to protect the rider, and arguably just as important, it can reach speeds over 50 kilometers per hour. Number 2. Flying yacht. Anyone who has ever ridden a boat at fast speeds knows that at times it can be a bit rough, a bit choppy, and sometimes unpleasant as you'll get seasickness. However, the teams at Enata and Foiler have teamed up to make a yacht that can fix all of that by making it fly. This flying yacht is a little loose on the concept of true flight, as it uses hydrofoils to help raise the yacht 5 feet into the air, but it is technically flying. What's more, its height above the water eliminates all of the disadvantages of going fast, as you won't be getting splashes or even have a choppy ride, or even get sick because you're flying across a singular plane. Plus, the ride can go 40 knots via its 2 V8 engines. Should this model spread around, it could change the game in the yacht world, especially when they get the yachts to go much higher off the surface of the water. Number 1. Arca board. Ever since Back to the Future Part 2 came around, a question has been asked by many. Where's my hoverboard? Arca board, as of yet, is one of the closest things you'll actually get to having your own hoverboard like Marty McFly. The device is one that uses 30-plus electric fans to get people a foot off the ground and go 20 kilometers an hour. You can control it via your own body movements or via an app on your phone. But what might surprise you the most is you can honestly purchase one right now. The catch, though, is that while it is a hoverboard in all ways that matter, it's not an efficient one. It only lasts for about 6 minutes. But should more like it come and grow in technology, this could be the beginning of something very beautiful. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these unusual flying vehicles that could truly change the world? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List, and I'll see you next time on the channel.